Hello YouTube, Phil at the Backroads Riding Channel coming at you with today's video. Today is the 10,000 mile review video of the Pan America Special, the 2022. The video came out a little bit longer than what I really intended for it to, so hopefully it's still good information for you. But I wanted to get all of my thoughts and opinions to you on the bike, and so let's get to the video. Hello YouTube, this is Phil at the Backroads Riding Channel coming at you with today's video. Alright, so I am leaving my work and we are heading out. Alright, so it is Friday, heading home. It has been a really long week. I am ready to be out of work. Hope your week has gone well. Mine's gone, it's been busy. First week back from vacation, but it's been good. First week back is always kind of rough, so, but I managed to get through all the hassle and all the stuff, and we're doing good. So hopefully things are going well with my audio and video setup. I'm running an Action 5 on my helmet. Action 4 sitting right here, and then I am running, I'm now switched over to DJI Mic 2s on my sound, and hoping that's going to do better. I know as far as the local audio is concerned, or audio when I'm just sitting still, it does great. Highway, you know, it's highway, it's only so much you can do with that. So I'm hoping you're getting some good, decent exhaust sound. And we're going to get up to speed a little bit here. I haven't necessarily found the greatest position for this microphone yet. It still tends to overload the mic, so I may have to bring the audio levels down a little bit. Haven't quite figured all that out yet, but I hope the audio, the vocal is better. Anyways, so 10,000 miles on the Pan America. It's actually 11,082. So 1,082 miles over a 10,000 mile review. But so far, the bike has been absolutely awesome. I love it. I've had zero issues with it. I'm either really fortunate. I don't want to down anybody else saying that the bike has had some problems, because I know some people have had some issues, but I am not one of them. So I use this mic. I use this bike to commute most days of the week to work. I mean, it depends on the rain and things like that. I don't, because I commute into Detroit from city outside of Flint, so I have about a 100-mile round trip commute, which is not terrible, but it can be a little bit of a dicey ride sometimes. There's some pretty heavy construction on the trip, but this bike is the best commuting bike that I've ever had. I've got a ton of power on this bike. The seating position is awesome. This upright seating position is great. So those are just my initial thoughts. I mean, that's for comfort and riding long distances. I've not had any trouble. I've not had any 1,000-mile days on the bike. I have had a couple 400-mile days on the bike. It had zero issue. So I'm very pleased with that. But let's talk about the bike itself, and I'll kind of reference some things that I read online of places where people are having trouble. And I'll give you my experience with those issues. But the first thing we'll talk about is power on the bike, the engine itself. Tons of power. You've got multiple driving modes that are available to you out of the box, just standard driving modes, and they're all good. I regularly, at least for a while, used sport, normal mode, or road mode, and rain mode. So those are the three that I use the most. The last few weeks, I've started messing with custom settings on the bike, and I mainly use custom mode B or custom mode A or B now. I'm in custom mode B right now. And the way I have mine mapped out, it lets me customize a lot of the settings on the bike. And the way I have mine is I have maximum throttle input. So I like my throttle input to be, when I touch the throttle, I want it to go. I don't like having that kind of delay as you turn the throttle. It's nice to have in the rain, but not when I'm in traffic and I'm having to drive or ride really slow. I want that throttle to be very responsive. So I've got that maxed out. My engine mappings are set to road mode. That provides me plenty of power for riding in traffic without going to the high-end level of sport on the engine mappings. My engine braking I have set to the next level above default. I can't remember the name of it, but that's where it's at. It gives me slightly more engine braking on the bike. It's not extensive, but it makes it feel more like a regular bike as far as engine braking is concerned, because there's really not a lot of engine braking on this bike out of the box. And then I have my suspension set to comfort on the bike. So I don't touch traction control or the ABS settings, and that is my custom B setup. And I have found that I love being able to customize the bike. If I want power, I switch over to my custom A mode, which I have just maxed out on everything. Max power, engines in sport mode, sport suspension, no engine braking. Just, it's a great set for speed. And even if I don't have exactly what I want, I can always just use one of the generic modes, and I'm doing good as well. Talking about the seat itself for riding. So for me, the seat is comfortable. It's not like over the top comfortable, but it's cushy enough that I don't get sore riding it. I do have probably my only complaint on, it's not even a complaint, it's just what it does, and I've seen this online too, but so the seat does over, and I just had to do it there, but the seat does over a period of time, it's like you kind of slide down it. It's weird. It's not much, you only slide like an inch, but it makes you feel off when you're on the bike and you just kind of shift yourself back up. So I don't really care for that. It's definitely not worth it to me to go out and do a bunch of changes or modify. There's some DIY stuff where you can put some, extra nuts in there or washers in there to kind of lift up the mounting points. I don't have any need to do that. It doesn't bother me enough, and I move around on the bike anyways because of my knees, and so it works okay for me. And I've been really happy with the overall setup of the seat. I run the seat in the high position on this bike. I'm 6 feet tall, 31 to 32 inch inseam, just right in between there. And it works well for me. I'm still able to flat foot the bike if it lowers, or when it lowers. Now, if I turn off the lowering, then I can't flat foot it in the upper position. I can in the lower, but not in the upper. And I can still control the bike easily. I'm still solidly on the balls of my feet, but I never turn off the auto suspension anyways. So the seating position is great, and in traffic like we're in today, I can see over the cars much better. I really like that. Some of the other bikes that I've had, you kind of sat down in the bike, it's nice, but when you're in traffic, it's harder to see, and so I like being able to see. Now I do when I ride, I typically am moving around in the lane anyways, just so I can get the best view possible from wherever I'm at. So it's not like I sit straight behind a car all the time. But now in this case, like right here, I can see fine because we're going slow. I'm going around the turn, but you'll see me move from left to right as we're riding today, as I'm in heavier traffic. Anyway, so seat position is great. I have no complaints about that at all. The way the pegs are, for me, I've got arthritis in both of my knees. My right knee is fairly bad. And so if I have the seat in the low position, it puts a little too much pressure on my knee. So I like the seat in the upper position. There's like an inch and a half difference when you move the seat up. It's really easy to move. And so I do that, and it works well for me. Now, the other thing that I did do to help alleviate some of the strain that I'll get on my knees from riding long distances is I bought these Pizoma engine guard extensions here. Now, they're not at all for engine guard. That's not what I'm using them for. I use them strictly to be able to stick my foot up here, almost taking the place of highway pegs. And it works really well. I can set my foot in it like this, or I can put my foot right up on top of it like this, and it's fine. I can give a little bit of padding on the bar to make it a little bit better, but I'll do that later. when I have time. So those were a great add-on for me to take some of that pressure off my knees on long rides. So, but overall, the pegs are in a good position. I love the mid controls. I had ridden so long without mid controls, I forgot how nice that really was. Having mid controls, incredibly awesome. So, all right. So talking about the, let's talk about the electronics issue that you read about online. So, if you're to read online, it sounds like every Pan America, catches on fire and blows up in the garage. Electronics melt the whole bike. It's not that bad. I've had no electronics issue. Now I consider, maybe I'm fortunate, but there's some stuff that I do that I think help a lot with that. So number one, just basic functionality on the bike. I keep my bike on a tinder every night. So when I get back home, most of the time it's every time I get off the bike, I throw it on a tinder. As soon as I get back home, it goes on the tinder. It's just sitting right there. I can grab it and throw it on. So the bike is always charged up. I never let it sit any more than, when I'm sitting at the workplace, and that's it. And so that's the first thing that I do. The second thing that I do to help avoid some of those issues is when you take your bike in for service, obviously you want to have them do the firmware updates that are available for your bike. But that includes more than just the infotainment system that's on the bike. That's not the only thing that needs to be updated. And so there are firmware updates for the control modules on either side that need to be done. I don't know how often they come out, but I know the last time I went in, there were updates for both modules. And those updates in and of themselves took over an hour. So, if you're doing your updates at home, that's fine for the infotainment system, but I'm not even sure you can, maybe you can, but I'm not sure you can even get the updates for the modules. So, I guess somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that. Maybe you can, but just make sure your dealer understands that you want all the firmware updates done. If your dealer doesn't know what you're talking about, well, might be time to find another dealer. So that's the second thing that I do. The third thing that I do, and I think this is one of the biggest things that, I can't, this is my own personal experience, talking with guys. I know some guys that had this bike, and talking with them based on the experience that they've had. So when you start your bike up, any other older Harleys or other Harleys that you start up, and I don't know about the new ones, but at least let's say, 18, 19, whatever, anything that has fuel injection, you get that little bit of a whine when you first power on the bike. And then as soon as that whine stops, you can hit the bike and off you go. Now this bike makes that same sound, and you can fire the bike. But if you fire the bike before the screen completes its initiation process or its initialization, you're starting the bike before all the sensors are online. And while the bike will start and you may not have any problems, you have the potential for those sensors to start throwing codes and errors. Sorry, I'm hearing somebody honking. I want to make sure it's up there. So when you start, the bike will start up. So you fire it, you'll see the Harley logo come on, and then it takes about 6, 7, maybe 8 seconds, and then you'll see the screen come up as it looks right now, and you'll watch that speedometer or the tachometer go all the way to the right and then come back, and then it's ready to fire. So what I do is when I'm getting ready to get on the bike, I'm doing my checks or whatever, and as I'm getting my gear on, I'll turn the ignition switch on so that by the time I get my gear on, everything's ready to go. But even so, it's like 8 seconds and the bike's fully booted. Now, I think that makes a huge difference. A couple guys that I know had all kinds of code issues on their bikes, their Pan Ams, and it were very random. One sensor would go and then another sensor would go, but they'd take it in, the sensors were responding fine to the dealer. And I can't remember if one of them talked to a dealer or someone, but they told them the same thing. So they started doing this startup procedure, and their error codes just went away. They never have one ever, or haven't had any since. So very simple solution to something that hopefully it'll help somebody out, but it's a very simple thing to do. And I think it'll really help you on your bike. As far as the tires go on this bike, I'm still on the original set of factory tires that came with it. And I don't think I'll get any further than this riding season out of them. They seem to have decent tread on them, but like my front tire is starting to get a little bit of a funny look. Not funny look to it. It's hard to describe. I've seen other Pan Americas with the same issue with the front tire. It's almost like it starts to, it's like a ridge or something in it. It's weird looking, but the tire is still fine. I've had it checked, but I'm gonna probably just get new tires at the start of next riding season. At 11,000 miles, I'm there anyways. We're pretty close to being there. By the time I finish this riding season, I'll probably have 15,000 miles on the bike, and that'll, if I'm able to make it that far, that'll definitely be time to get new ones. So, one thing that I have had happen that was a problem. It's very minor, and it was fixed within a day. My cruise control switch, this toggle switch right here that turns cruise control on and off. I was riding to work one morning. I set the cruise. It felt a little funny. I looked down. It looked a little funny, and when I reached out to just like touch it, and as soon as my finger hit it, it was gone. So it had something had popped loose inside and had broken, and it just was sitting weird. So they had to order a new cruise control module, but it was in the next day, and they took the bike in. Took them about 20 minutes, and they were done. So that was a real easy fix. Wow, traffic is rough today. There's major construction up here, and it's Friday, so everybody's going north, and I'm just going to cruise in this lane while it's flowing like this. So, all right, trying to think of anything else to talk about. Just in my experience, the bars themselves, not a lot of room to put stuff on the bars. If you have extra accessories that you want to put on, I mean, I got a camera mounted on here, and I have my quad lock mounted on here, and overall that works pretty well where it's at. It took me a while to figure out placement because there's a lot of wiring, and there's just not a lot of room, and I don't want to block my screen. I know there are adapters that you can buy that move the screen up, but I like it where it's at, so I didn't want to mess with that. And this bike just works for me the way it is. I haven't put risers on. I don't need risers. I can still stand up just fine and control the bike just fine. I mean, I haven't done much in the way of off-road, and it's mainly been just dirt roads and 2 tracks, but I'm able to handle the bike fine. I don't need it with my arms. I don't need anything. I don't need to be standing straight up on the bike. So it works. Now maybe you're different, and that's, everybody's different on how they sit on a bike. So I did not buy the Harley bags for this bike. They're fairly expensive, and I'm somewhat of a cheapskate, and so I did not buy the Harley bags. I did buy Viking bags, and there were a couple reasons for that. Number one reason being the cost. I was able to buy them for $800 for the 2 side bags. That's with all the mounting hardware included, and that's they're done well. The bags are really nice. They're waterproof. I haven't had any leaking on the bags, and they have definitely been out in the rain a couple of times. The hardware is very solid. I did have a tiny bit of surface rust on one of the mounting points on the hardware, but I hate to say it, I'm not sure if it was there when I first put it on. So I got to clean that up a little bit, but it's nothing major. The thing I love about the bags is I have one key for everything. So the key fits both bags. It also fits both mounting locks where it locks the bag to the bike. Those are all the same key. So I have literally one key for all 4 locks, which is wonderful, and was definitely a selling point for me. Now, as far as size, the Viking bags are somewhat smaller, so you don't can't get quite as much in them as you can with the Harley bags. And they do have the bags are the same size for either side, so the right side does stick out just a little bit more. It's not bad. I don't really care. The bags do exactly what I want them to do, and that's all I care about. Anything else I would do to the bike? Probably, maybe exhaust. I don't mind the stock exhaust on this. It's not loud. It's not like a normal Harley exhaust. But even when you put a custom exhaust on this, it still doesn't sound like a Harley exhaust. So I'm not sure that I really want to do that. And it's decent enough for what I ride it for, and I don't like having an exhaust that it completely overpowers the ride. So I'm undecided on that one. I would like to get the shield, I can't think of the name of it, the skid plate for the bike. I already have a radiator guard and the headlight guard on it, but I would like to get that skid plate just because, you know, I mean, if I do any more off-roading, I definitely need to have that. So, the windshield itself is great. It does a really good job blocking the wind, and I do rotate this windshield up and down quite a bit depending on the conditions. Now today it's fairly warm today, and it was freezing this morning, so I got the windshield up right now, but I could pretty easily put that thing down and be very comfortable riding today. And it adjusts really easily. I would adjust it right now, but this traffic is pretty heavy. You need to pay attention to what I'm doing. On the display itself, right now it says there's an ambient temperature of 82 degrees. Now I know that's not correct. The ambient temperature is about 76 right now. So this bike does have an issue as the bike heats up and gets warm. It does affect the ambient temperature sensor. Not a big deal, but just letting everybody know. The infotainment screen itself is great. I don't have, I really like it. There's a lot of features. Obviously you can't change too much while you're riding, but it's very easy to control while you're riding and get to anything that you need to get to. And so I keep mine in widget mode all the time. That's what I prefer to be. It lets me keep my tire pressure, my range or fuel range, my temperature for the bike, all that on my screen at one time. So I really like the widget screen. Every once in a while I'll switch over to the full page or the full screen, but I end up back on widgets. So this is where I am with that. All right, honestly that's probably pretty much about it for me. I can't think of anything else to talk about as far as the review is concerned. I guess the only thing I would say is if I had to do this buy over again, would I do it? Absolutely. Would I do it even though the bike seems to be like terrible on resale value? Absolutely. This is a great bike. I don't understand why the resale value has dropped so much on these. I think a lot of it is just social media, people complaining, you know, and not enough people that have the bikes that are having no trouble with them saying anything. So, which is typically how it is. This is a great bike. I'm 100% happy with it. Now I've said this before about other bikes. I have no intention of getting rid of it. It doesn't mean I won't, but this is my only bike right now. So it does all of my riding for any of the long distance or commuting rides that I do, or short rides. It's all on this bike. All right, well, that'll about wrap it up for this video. I hope this was a help for somebody. If I didn't, excuse me, if I didn't answer something you were looking for, please leave a question in the comments. I'll do my best to answer. I'm not a real gearhead. So if it's a super technical question, I'm not going to be able to answer it for you. I may be able to give you at least a rider's perspective. As someone who owns the bike and rides it, I can give you that perspective on it. But, you know, I'll do the best I can. And so I hope everyone liked this video. For those of you who are out riding today, keep the shiny side up and the rubber side down. That always makes for a better day. So I hope all of you have a great weekend and have a good time. In the meantime, this is Phil at the Backroads Riding channel saying peace, and we will see you all in the next video.